Welcome to Trader Genius Trade Reviews for Friday, August 2nd, 2019. You've got Jess and Rob. Jess is at home in Denver, and I am on the road in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we are going to do something a little bit different today, but same rough format. We're going to go into the Daily Dozen and just show you how we evaluate the 12 stocks that show up in your inbox every day. And it's not necessarily the only way to do it, but it's a helpful way to review each stock for its merit for your trading system, for your trading strategy. So let's open up the Daily Dozen. We have a lot of gold and silver stocks popping up on the Daily Dozen today. So we wanted to evaluate each one. And Jess, you want to just go daily?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go down daily, and we'll move to weekly and monthly, keeping with the same kind of pattern that we have been doing. As far as what we're looking at is what we'll discuss today is really the Fantastic Four and its sidekick volume. And the Fantastic Four as it relates to these charts is the signal, the K-band, the blue. So we have a red and green signal, and we've got yellow and blue K-band. We also have our J-stop, which is these green arrows right here signaling an uptrend, and these red arrows down here signaling a downtrend. In addition to that, lastly of the Fantastic Four is these trend lines, the dotted trend line, and we got the long trend line. Not necessary to have, but it's always a benefit to, as far as an indicator, is these purple histograms down here denoting volume genius. So as the Fantastic Four and their sidekick volume as it pertains to the daily chart, we're going to look at each one, the daily, weekly, and monthly chart, going through this list. But on the daily chart for AUY, it has the J-stop coming up until the last candle there on the first. We've got a signal and we've got K-band, as well as it's rising above a trend line. We got a trend line here, and we got a nice volume spike. One of the things that I noticed on this chart, as far as it pertains to the daily, is this alert right here. And so price movement warning, wrong direction or flat. In other words, we don't have that continuity that we usually like to see. So as far as AUY, there's a little bit of hesitation as far as all parameters being met there. What do you see, Rob?
Same thing to me. It's nice that it's breaking above $3, but it could be the end of the trend. That is a nice, powerful candle, but it is a large candle for the chart. So I think we should keep picking through the list and see if we see any other daily candidates that appeal to us more.
Okay, let's look at SSRM. And right off the bat, I noticed a couple of things that kind of check it off the list for me. And when we're doing our assessment, you don't have to do the full assessment. If you recognize something right out of the gates that is not there or parameter not being met, you just move on to the next one. And here, very quickly, there is no K-band, no blue K-band, and we've got a J-stop going the opposite direction. Anything you'd like to add on that one, Rob?
Just as we go through these, the daily, weekly, and long-term, we're looking for reasons not to trade. So I'm right there with you. It did find some nice support at $15, but as you said, the indicators aren't there. Moving on.
With SA, who's been on our list quite a few times through this process here as it's been going up, it's made some really nice movement since around $11 going up to $14.75, but it's awfully choppy movement. There's a lot of fluctuation within here. And again, quickly, no background signal, no K-band, no J-stop. This one is a no-go for me, and I'll move directly on to AG for the daily. AG is coming off of a downtrend. It's starting to poke up above that trend line, which is somewhat nice to see, but we got a nice alert here saying that there's not the continuity that we like, and no signal, no K-band. With GWRS, what do you see, Rob?
GWRS looks a lot better. It is definitely got 3 straight candles of K-band, well above the J-stop arrow as well as the quick trend line. A nice powerful candle through a potential resistance line in $13. So you've got the Fantastic Four. You don't have the Sidekick, which you don't necessarily need. But GWRS, I really like this one for daily because as far as the ones we're reviewing so far, because it has shown a pattern of growth without volume in the past or without much volume. So I like this one.
Yeah, the only thing on here is with that growing candle, it's eventually going to end. I'm not saying that it's a bad candidate because I do agree with you, Rob. But one of the things when we have these building trends, as things look like they're getting juicier, such as this candle right here, it ends up flattening out a little bit. So is it going to continue? Is it not? Who knows? But I would say GWRS so far is one of the best candidates we found for a daily. Here with SVM, we are, J-stop is going the wrong direction. K-band's not present, so we can move on. BW, what are you seeing here, Rob?
First impression often speaks a lot. Skinny candles, no volume, volume genius at the bottom. It is going sideways right now. If it were to break above that $4 range, yeah, okay. That is providing some resistance. It's touched it twice. The trend line is a little bit deceptive here because it was such a huge gap up, and I don't know if you can trust that kind of overnight price move.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And it's just kind of flat. I mean, you can draw a straight line across and hit every single candle pretty much right about this dollar mark here. I'm not convinced. It hasn't proved to me that it's ready to go.
Agreed.
ACHN, we are lacking some K-band and some volume with that. It is a significant, its J-stop number has got to be pretty decent. It is towing that trend line, that longer trend line, but it has found some support. So, you know, potential down the road, but as far as for today, it's a no-go for me on ACHN.
We lost volume and K-band on that one. Here we go. Also HMY, no K-band. And you got that J-stop going against us.
Yeah, so HMY is looking, it's a nice candle, but it is just trying to get back to where it gave it all back. So it came up to here on the 31st, dropped down, opened a little bit lower and kind of trying to work its way back up. So not really proving that it's in a upward momentum trend right now.
Agreed. And same thing here, EGO. We're noticing a pattern, Jess, and it's worth mentioning when we're doing these daily reviews here, almost every stock took a hit on the 31st. That's because the 31st was FOMC day, and there was a large bear trend that afternoon that took pretty much the whole market with it. That is another reason we only have a couple stocks left, but EGO looks pretty good. I like GWRS for that reason also. It was the only one that didn't take a hit on the 31st. So that tells me that, you know, the buyers and sellers who move the stock price value it. They didn't dump it on a big bear trend on Wednesday the 31st.
Hey, way to keep an eye on the overall market. The overall market really affects how we interpret these charts. So as we normally do in our daily dozen, we look at the overall market before we start diving in and looking for candidates for review. Due to the way that we formatted going through the daily dozen today, we forgoed the overall market analysis, but it is always important to have an idea of the overall before you start diving into individual stocks, because that does change how you look at these charts, just like you had mentioned, Rob.
Right, the market is powerful, and it can take a lot of these stocks with it, and we're seeing sectors, whole sectors of gold and silver being taken along with the market. It's powerful, and you don't want to trade against the market. But it'll show up less when we go through these for weekly and monthly, because it was just that one big bear day in a sea of what has been an overall bull trend.
And you can see that the different stocks that we're going through react differently to some of that stuff. Here with SAFE, we don't have K-band. We've got J-stop. Trend line, we're below the trend line here. It's still being painted but I don't really see a lot of stuff that I like other than this little bit of a volume spike here. But it's not really proven. It's not going into new territory currently. So I may just keep this on a watch list sort of standby, as opposed to, hey, this is something that I'd like to get in right now.
Agree with that. It does have most of the Fantastic Four. We're missing K-Band, but yeah, like you said, the behavior is sideways. The price hasn't moved. Just wait for it to break out of that range, that channel that it's in, and then I'll look at it again.
Yeah, that 33.50 and just poking its head above 34. It's got to get out of there for me before I jump in. Let's see what BLL has for us. BLL it's got the alert saying that wrong direction or flat, but man, it had a nice rebound after the FOMC day, growing volume with the nice big candle. It made it up past 76, but then came back down, maybe encountering a little resistance at 75. But there's definitely some potential with this one.
Agree. I like it. The alert is certainly a bit worrying. It's a larger candle for BLL. It did dip on the 31st, but if we just take a look at the volume was 2.9 there and 3.5 on this big fat green candle. So what we're reading when we read the stock charts is buyer and seller sentiment. It is a lens for viewing that, and there were a lot of buyers on the next day after a big bear day. So this one has some promise. I would want some confirmation that it's going to break that big $75 price point before I got into this, but this is definitely one to keep my eye on. I think the ones I like for the daily were this one, BLL, GWRS, and also our old friend EGO for the gold stocks. What about you, Jess?
Yeah, that's what I got down on my list. GWRS, we liked it, minus no volume genius. EGO was minus the J-stop, or J-stop was pointing in the wrong direction. And BLL, it's got everything we like to see except for that alert is about the only thing in the price point with the $75 mark. So really it's let's wait and see. Have it prove it to us, have it get over some of these humps, and then be potential buying candidates.
Right, nothing that fits my system for daily trades, but a couple ones to keep your eye on. And I think if we go back through the weekly, there will be some much stronger looking charts. You want to start at the top with AUY again, just the weekly?
Yeah, let's switch over to AUY, go weekly, and we're going to see a little bit different picture with especially these gold stocks. And one thing to point out as we move forward is that this isn't everything. There's a bunch of tools and a bunch of ways to assess these candidates. This is really kind of a starting platform for those that are getting the Daily Dozen to be able to have a little bit more confidence getting their feet wet. So kind of getting the full picture is trading's very personal. And at the end of the day, what works for you may be something different than it works for me or Rob. We all trade a little bit differently. But really to get the base principles and foundation of how to analyze these charts and utilize all the information and tools available, we have that with our advanced coaching class to take a deep dive and be able to do a little bit tighter analysis on some of these stocks.
Spot on.
AUY is looking mighty juicy. We are missing the trend line with this, even though we have a really nice, consistent weekly movement up. There is some trend line missing with AUY. It does have the K-band, the signal, and the J-stop, and we got a little bit of a rise in volume genius. Rob, does that give you a little comfort or a little question with this rise in volume genius?
Relative, if you look back across all the volume genius history, or on this weekly chart, it's not necessarily a spike the way that the June 21st candle was, but it is about that size, probably the second fattest green candle we've got. And also giving me pause is, yeah, it powered through $3, which is a pretty, in this price point kind of stock, price range kind of stock, smaller dollar amount per share. Look back left. Let's look left and see what happened when it touched 325 or close to it last time. It cascaded down all the way back down to $2, and that's not something I want more of. So I would probably stay out of this one. That trend's a little bit old, and you're reaching some historical resistance.
I agree with all that. It gives me a little bit of pause when something looks really, really good for a sustained period. It is, as we know, only a matter of time before it decides to turn around, or at least have a little bit of pullback. So let's see what SSRM has in store for us. SSRM's got that trend line. It's above the quick trend line. K-band, signal, J-stop, and volume genius. As far as the Fantastic Four and the Sidekick volume, SSRM looks pretty good.
I like this one a lot better. It's also gives me extra confidence in it because if you look at the wick on the August 1st candle, it touched $15 and then went right back up. We closed nice and high over 16. So finding some support there means there are buyers for this stock, and this trend has a good chance of renewing.
SA is not looking as strong as SSRM. We do have everything. We've got our signal, our K-band, our trend line, our J-stop, and our volume genius. But my concern is really the $15 mark. I haven't seen that break through and sustain. So even though it's all there, I'm going to maybe sit on the sidelines for this as a weekly at the 15.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for an intra-week trade, maybe this has legs to get up to 15 again and touch 15, and you would execute your sell order right there or right before 15. But as you said, it's just sticky around this area, and the chart, first impressions mean a lot. Our intuition when we look at these charts, the first time you look at it, I see just kind of cyclical pattern, doesn't really appeal to me. It has a lot of the indicators, but it doesn't fit the rules of my system because looking left, it is not looking
good. Yeah, let's see if AG is something that you like, Rob. What do you think about AG here?
It's in nice territory, but show me another green candle. Let's break that $10 kind of threshold for resistance, because that's a big one for buyers and sellers out there. I'll pass on this. 2 red candles in a row. It's got a lot of the Fantastic Four plus the volume genius, but just show me a little more.
I agree. AG's not doing it for me on the weekly. GWRS is looking strong. This thing has been powering up for the last couple of weeks. After a really large volume spike, it's gone up. We've got our signal, we've got our K-band, we got our trend line, J-stop, and we got a little bit of volume genius right here. As far as the Fantastic Four and its sidekick volume, GWRS seems to be potentially a weekly candidate. With SVM, we have, it's looking good as well too. The only thing I see here, so we've got signal, K-band, trend line, J-stop, volume genius. We have this large wick down here and going up. I mean, it's holding up above and it closed higher than the previous week, but there is definitely some sellers and then pushed back up with some buyers. So on a decreasing volume here. So is that to say that SVM isn't going to work out or is not going to be a good candidate? No, that's not. It's just not as clean as, say, GWRS.
Not as clean, but still on the ones I like out of what we reviewed for weekly so far.
On BW, let's see. BW initial impression here is we don't have the volume genius. We've got the trend line and we've got the J-stop. I think this was the one that had a large gap up with its price on the daily. And it's just the strength of these candles don't get me super excited. Total volume is relatively low overall. I'm more of a watch and wait on this one, especially with these wicks hitting the same spot 2 weeks in a row and not pushing through that $4 mark.
Agreed. That's my first impression as well, as that long, skinny green candle in a sea of red previous to that. So I don't like it yet. I think we can interpret some buyer and seller behavior. Somebody made a big splash on this lower price stock, took it from a quarter share roughly up to $4 a share in a single week. So that says something. It could have legs. If maybe the company's got value, I would want to look at the financials and actually see how they're doing. So further analysis on this one for me, Jess.
All right, ACHN. We've got our K-band and our signal, trend line, J-stop, and volume genius. We're not meeting new highs. It's this doji right here closed lower than the previous week. I'm going to hold off and wait and see for this $5. As you mentioned before with one of the other ones, maybe an intraday trade if it looked like it's taken off, maybe going to that $5 mark. 50 cents on 450 stock, that'd be a 10% gain. But I may just hold off as far as the weekly goes on this one. Wait and see.
Right. Give me a higher high, and I'll watch ACHN. It's not bad. Pretty good. Just give me a little bit more confirmation.
See if HMY's got more for us. HMY has Fantastic Four. We've got Volume Genius. And I like that it had this nice run up, and then it had a little bit of a pause. It took a breather, and this seems like this could be potentially a fresh run on HMY.
Yep, stocks need a breather, just like humans do. This is a pretty good performance athlete because it only needed a short breather. So, yeah, I like HMY going forward.
Let's see with our EGO. EGO's been making the list quite a bit lately. It's been a mainstay for performance, and everything is here. We keep hitting higher highs every single week since, it's this June 21st. June 14th, starting June 14th, we've hit a higher high every week. It is doing pretty amazing, but it's maybe getting a little long in the tooth for me. I think it would have been nice to jump on the wagon back here when it first kind of came out in these zones. But EGO is still looking strong. There's no doubt about that.
Agreed. And I'm looking forward to closing out the monthly with EGO, see what that looks like when we get there.
Yeah, the sector for gold overall has been doing really well. It'd be interesting to see, is the sector for gold still going up, or is it flattening out, potentially going down overall? That'd be an interesting comparison. For safe, we've got K-band, signal, J-stop, trend line, and volume genius. It's been consistently moving. It looks like it might be flattening a little bit. We are getting higher highs, but it may look like it's flattening a little bit on the weekly. Rob, what's your take?
Concur with what you said, Jess. And it's a bit sideways, but this isn't bad. It's still well above that quick trend line in the J-stop. We got all our indicators, so this is one to watch. Yeah, this will fit a lot of systems.
Yeah. Let's see, BLL. BLL is moving up nicely. We are K-band, signal, J-stop, trend line. Don't have volume genius here. Again, it's not a requirement, but we've got quite a few good selections on the weekly chart that, depending on what your feelings are about volume genius and this price point, even though this looks, relatively nice, I think we have better candidates. So I'm going to put BLL on my watch list for breaking that 75 and seeing if we can get some volume. So with the weekly, we've got quite a few good picks. SSRM
Like
is
HMY.
as a potential. HMY, EGO, and SAFE are the candidates that I kind of picked out of this that I would like to, keep my eye on and be potential opportunities for a weekly trade.
And rolling into our long-term analysis, we'll just go down the monthly chart for each of this day's daily dozens. And remember, for a daily dozen, whatever your system is, whatever time frame you're trading, you can get the daily dozen for free on the 30-day trial just as part of your package. So when you sign up for the 30-day trial to the software, sign up for the 30-day trial for the daily dozen. You got everything to gain, nothing to lose.
For the monthly trades or potential trades for the daily dozen, we have AUY, and I think for time's sake, I think we've made our point pretty good on the analysis of the Fantastic Four. So I'm going to go through the monthly more on the reasons not to trade it as opposed to what is all there. And we'll kind of move through here a little bit quicker, but apply the same principles we did to daily and weekly. So for AUY, my concern here is looking left. We've got resistance encountered at the 325 mark. I'm going to want to hold off and see some proof or anything stick out to you, Rob, on AUI.
I'm right there with you. I don't like it looking left. I'll turn my nose up at it, move on.
SSRM, we got everything here except for Volume Genius. We are still below the previous high set the previous week at 1678. So I'm going to hold off on SSRM as far as wanting to see if it's going to continue to trend upwards or if this is kind of the beginning of the end.
Agree, hold what we got. Not going to buy any shares of SSRM for a longer term trade yet.
SA historically is looking like there's some junk to the left, and we're missing K-band and Volume Genius. So I'm going to stay out of SA for the time being. It may be a growing in power trend, but I'm going to watch and wait on SA. For AG, again, we're encountering that $10 resistance that we talked about, and it's not breaking out newer higher highs with these tails here. So it's after a big volume spike, we got nothing going right now. So my gut's telling me AG's running out of gas. What about you, Rob?
That's certainly possible. I like it for this reason, not to pull the trigger now, but if it bursts past 10, I like what I saw back in 2016 when it powered up and touched $17. For this simple reason, we're on monthly candles, and we're just starting this month. So I'd give that candle some more time to form. If we see that VG come up, the power, the fatness of the candle grow commensurate with what we've seen its historical behavior do and bust through $10, okay, I like it, and I'll give this one some serious review.
So you're going to put AG on your watch list. I don't disagree with that. In other words, I agree with you going double negatives there. Wait and see. Let's see here, GWRS. This thing has just been making headway. It's made our a daily list here on the monthly. This thing is looking pretty strong. Second candle with K-band coming on. We've got our trend lines. We're just missing a little Volume Genius. I like GWRS. I'd be curious to see GWRS on the investor chart to see if that is a true breakout. Nothing to the left. I like GWRS.
I'm right there with you on this one. It is looking nice and clean. We got some fresh trend, and all the indicators are there. So yeah, I like GWRS. Do the same thing as you, just due diligence on time frame confirmation and historical territory. But yeah, this is my top candidate so far on monthly.
See SVM. SVM's moving up. We got the same kind of deal with the second candle with K-band. Everything's there except volume. The only really thing that I see that jumps out of the page with SVM is when we look left, we're hitting this 325 mark, and I just don't have the confidence that it's going to get through there and sustain. So I would need to see some confirmation with SVM.
Right. Moving on.
Diversified Industrials, BW. From a monthly, this thing is down there and barely perceptible. It was at once as high as $240 a share not that long ago per se. So from April 2016, in 3 years, it's dropped all the way down to a low of $3.55 this past week. That's $3.55 versus $240. Is this the low and it's the turnaround? I don't know. I'm not going to trade it cyclically, so I'm just going to wait and see. Plus, we got this big red signal down here, and we're basically missing everything except J-stop down here. So I'm going to go ahead and hold off on BW and give it some time to get some legs underneath it.
You said it all, brother. No, thank you.
ACHN. ACHN is got everything we need. It's missing the volume genius, but I do like that it's early on the second candle. It did open higher this past week. Hasn't really had, being that it's the beginning of the month, it hasn't really had a time to develop. This $5 mark could prove to be tricky, but I like that, this is kind of early on the monthly for ACHN. So I'd like to wait and see, but I am hopeful for this stock to continue progressing in the direction. It's just not ready yet, though.
It's got the foundation of a good trade. Let's see what the August candle does here, like you said, at $5.
HMY for gold. It's moving up nicely. It's got everything we need. It's missing a little volume genius. 275 mark caused some pressure down on that candle, but it's recovering nicely. I would say wait and see for me on HMY.
Right, let that trend continue to develop.
On EGO, I'm a fan. I'm on their bandwagon. They do have that long trend though that we saw on the weekly, which gives me a little bit of pause for how long it's going on. But these candles with growing volume are just impressive. I don't see any reason to deny EGO on the monthly side of things.
No, I would set a price target of just shy of $10, and this one looks like it's got some legs to get there. So be patient and have an exit strategy around that historical resistance support.
Yeah, these sticking points can prove to be challenging for these stocks, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. All trends are going to come to an end at some point, so get a little bit of profit off of it and move on. Let's see, for safe has just been bounding up month over month. Look at this. It's a little bit long for me, but at the same time it is going strong. It may be worth, in my book, as an opportunity to get in, even though it is a little bit long, but it's showing consistently that it's going strong. I don't see any weakening per se. The only place maybe is that I think it opened a little lower than the previous close, but not by much. I would say that's insignificant, about 12 cents if I'm reading that correctly. And it's still going up. May have stalled at this 34 because it's not beating this wick, but it is early in the month. So safe, whatever they're doing is getting some strong, consistent investment. And that's what you like to see on a longer term chart.
Agreed. Just cross-reference it with the financials, PE ratio, and just check that eye chart.
And lastly, BLL. Same kind of thing going on with BLL. It's just consistently moving. It's showing that consistency for longer term trading. I'd like to have seen it take a little bit of a breath, but that might have been this candle right here might have been a breath, and then this one as well too. Even though it is green and it went to higher highs, there was some selling and buying going on a little bit back and forth. So with this at the $75 mark, I would probably like to see a little confirmation past that, because it can be a known sticking point. But sometimes getting in early is worth it. It just depends on your process and your system, which develops over time.
Right. BLL looks like a stud, said it's safe. What were the other ones we liked on monthly?
GWRS and EGO.
That's right. It's a good basket of stocks to consider. Make a short list out of it. Create a watch list for each time frame, whatever your trading system is. And if you don't have access to the software yet, you're just watching this, TraderGenius.com, 30-day free trial, no strings attached, no credit card needed. And when you do that, you can sign up for 30 days free of this daily dozen list, 12 stocks per day. And they go straight to your inbox, as well as there's just a simple one-click button in the program's home screen to get there and view them just like this. And you can evaluate those stocks for your trading strategy just the way that Jess and I did today.
Yeah, we walked through 12 stocks that was delivered to the inbox every single day. So there's a lot of opportunities, because just within these 12, we were able to identify 3 potential opportunities on the daily, 4 potential opportunities on the weekly, and 4 potential opportunities on the monthly. So out of 12 stocks, we identified 11 potential opportunities depending on your trading and investing style.